What if I told you that the person destroying your life isn't your boss, your past mistakes, or the people who doubted you, but the voice inside your own head? That whisper that says, "You're not enough, you'll never make it. Why even try?" That voice isn't random. It's been trained over years of fear, comparison, and self-doubt. And now it moves through your mind like an assassin, striking when you're vulnerable, you feel tired, unmotivated, and overwhelmed. And yet most people never stop to ask why. Why does the same voice keep returning even when you know you're capable of more? Why does your own mind tear you down instead of lifting you up? The truth is, this isn't just overthinking, it's a war. And most people are losing because they don't even realize they're in battle. But you can win. You can silence the chaos, take control, and build a mind that nothing can shake. It starts with attacking the root, not just the symptoms. Most people live like soldiers fighting the wrong battle. They wake up to a storm of thoughts, anxious worries, and self-doubt. And they spend every day putting out fires one by one, scrolling through their phones, eating distractions, working endlessly, all while the real problem continues to grow. They treat symptoms instead of sources, trying to calm the noise without ever asking why the noise exists. Stoicism teaches us that the mind is not a random storm. It follows patterns, and if you don't examine those patterns, you will suffer the same mental attacks over and over. The root is hidden beneath fear, comparison, and old stories you've carried for years. When your mind says you're falling behind, most people distract themselves. The Stoic stops and asks, "Am I really behind? Or am I comparing myself to someone else's story? Am I tying my worth to someone else's timeline?" These aren't just thoughts, they are roots. And if you don't deal with them, they grow stronger. Every reaction, every habit, every self-doubt begins there. As Carl Jung said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. That fear of judgment you carry, that isn't just a personality trait, it is a root planted years ago when being yourself wasn't enough. Now, every choice you make, every word you speak, every move you hide is influenced by it. The Stoic doesn't cover it up with false positivity, they confront it. They face the fear not because they are fearless, but because they know fear grows stronger in silence. Every negative thought is a flare. It wants attention so you can investigate, not so you panic. The moment you understand where a thought comes from, you can challenge it, talk back to it, and change the behavior that feeds it. If water appears on your floor, do you mop it every day without finding the leak, or do you fix the source? Treat your thoughts the same way. Once you stop swatting at symptoms and start cutting the root, anxiety no longer owns you, doubt no longer paralyzes you, and sadness no longer spirals into shame. You see where it lives, and once you see the root, it loses its power. You decide what to do with it. As Seneca said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." The suffering isn't denied. It's just unnecessary when you face the root. When you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, what exactly am I afraid of? What belief do I hold that makes this fear feel bigger than it is? That's where freedom begins, and it starts with discomfort. Facing the truth is uncomfortable, but discomfort is not your enemy. It is your guide. That edge you feel when digging deeper is where liberation begins. This isn't just problem solving. This is reclaiming your power, the power to respond rather than react, the power to choose clarity over confusion, the power to act when your mind wants to run. You don't need more motivation or distractions. You need precision, the courage to face fear and say, "I see you." I know where you came from, but you don't drive anymore. That is self-leadership. That is stoicism in action. Life will test you relentlessly. People will betray you, plans will fail, jobs will disappear, and the world will often feel heavy and unfair. But here's what separates those who crumble from those who thrive. They control the frame. Your brain doesn't just record events, it assigns meaning to them, and the meaning you assign determines your reality. Someone loses their job. One person spirals, thinking they failed, they aren't good enough, they'll never recover. Another person sees opportunity, a chance to redirect their path towards something meaningful. Same event, completely different outcome. Epictetus said, "Men are disturbed not by things, but by the views which they take of them." Your story about an event holds more power than the event itself. The strongest minds are not unfeeling. They are trained to pause, pivot, and ask better questions. When life hits, don't say, "This isn't fair." Ask, "What can I learn here? What part of me is being tested?" When you change the story you tell yourself, you change the weight you carry. Criticism becomes sharpening. Rejection becomes redirection. Failure becomes fuel. Every setback is a lesson if you control the frame. That is the difference between someone who survives life and someone who masters it. You don't hand over the pen to fear, shame, or old programming. You write your own story. You lead through difficulty, not just endure it. Most people don't realize how exposed their minds are. They check their phones first thing, scroll through opinions, absorb every snippet of news or criticism, and let outside voices rearrange the furniture in their heads. Hours later, they wonder why they feel drained and scattered. Your mind isn't a hallway, it's a fortress. Every thought that enters must pass through the gates. Carl Jung wrote, "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes." Awakening happens the moment you realize you don't have to accept every thought. Some are yours, some are echoes from childhood, some are projections, some are noise. You get to choose what occupies your mind. Every time you catch self-doubt, refuse a useless comparison, or ignore drama, you lay another brick. Discipline is the mortar. You're not emotionless, you are structured. Seneca said, "No person has power to have everything they want, but it is in their power not to want what they don't have." That is the fortress mindset, choosing restraint over reaction, choosing inner control over outer chaos. Meditation, reflection, journaling, reading, and silence aren't trends. They are bricks in a mind that cannot be shaken. When the world gets louder and more intrusive, your walls stand. You pause. You assess. You respond with strength, not emotion. Stability becomes your signature. Presence becomes your power. People notice not because you flash or boast, but because you are unshakable. That is the kind of presence that can't be faked. Finally, detach from what you cannot command. Caring is natural, but attachment is dangerous. We tie our worth to outcomes, relationships, praise, and recognition. And slowly, those things become chains. You hold a rope, and the thing on the other end starts sinking. You grip tighter, but the rope drags you under. That is the pain of attachment. Stoicism teaches clarity, not apathy. You can give your full effort without tying your peace to the result. You can love deeply without needing the person to stay. You can chase goals with everything you've got and still accept the outcome gracefully. Marcus Aurelius led an empire through war, plague, and betrayal. Yet he reminded himself daily, act with virtue, act with detachment, act with command. Detachment doesn't mean numbness, it means sovereignty. You stop letting the world dictate your inner state. You show up, you give your best, and you accept reality as it is, not as you wish it to be. Once you practice this, the weight lifts. You're lighter, present, and grounded. You stop chasing illusions and start commanding your life. The world will test you. That is inevitable. But your mind will no longer be a door left open to chaos. You will be the one who decides who enters, who stays, and who leaves. That is freedom. That is power. That is mastery. The war is not outside. It's in here. And the moment you stop running from your own mind, stop letting it dictate your reality, and start commanding it with clarity, courage, and discipline, you win. Every negative thought becomes a lesson. Every fear becomes a training ground. Every challenge becomes a forge that strengthens you. You do not wait for life to give you permission to be unshakable. You take it. You step into the ring, look the voice in the eye, and say, I decide, I lead, I am unbreakable. That is the life of a warrior, a stoic, a master of the mind.